Ladies and gents, welcome to another episode recap and review. That's right. This time we'll be diving into this new Percy Jackson show. Percy Jackson, the Olympians, that's right. Now, to be fair, this is not the first time I'm watching these episodes. This is actually the second time. Simply because, I was watching them as they premiered on TV and all that. But life is pretty busy, so yeah, I'm going to be reviewing these episodes just off the cuff right now. Yep. Also, to be fair, okay, I have not read the books. As far as I've gotten is the second chapter in the first book. And that's it. I plan to rectify that fairly soon, since, this show's actually pretty good, I suppose. But, yeah, for all those who think that, I'm a book guy and I'm a book fan of these, books and all that, nope. I have no idea what this series is about. All I know is that there's Greek gods and goddesses that roam around, and Percy Jackson, not Peter Jackson, I keep on getting those mixed up, but Percy Jackson is, I guess the son of Poseidon for some reason. I don't know exactly what's going on, the rules or anything else. That's all I know. The end. And yeah, here we go. Also, if you hear a lot of rain in the background, it's raining right now. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, though, and as of this recording, I have not seen any of the Percy Jackson films either, but I know that they're considered very inaccurate to the books. So yep, there's that too. I don't know how accurate or inaccurate they are to the books. I'm not going to be analyzing that. I'm going to be analyzing this series as a series rather than, something that's translated to the books or whatever, So, with further ado, let's begin. Starting with, I accidentally vaporized my pre-algebra teacher. Gosh, you gotta love these names. And you know what? It seems a lot like the middle school-esque kid, it's like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but put in like a giant, death-defying thing or whatever, death-defying cataclysmic adventure and all that. So yeah, it's pretty dope to say the least. This kid, I don't know his name, but the kid who plays Percy Jackson, it's the same kid from the Adam Project, and I gotta say, he is a force of acting, let me tell you, okay? If there was a younger Ryan Reynolds, if there was a kid who can immortalize, the younger Ryan Reynolds, this is the kid, okay? And he was brilliant in that film. This show, he's doing a fairly decent job, I'm getting the middle school vibes, he's a sort of a troubled child, but he's well-meaning and all that. He's got the ADHD, he's got the dyslexia and all that stuff. Yeah, and I don't understand why necessarily he's got that, but you know what? It's fine, everyone's got their own thing, you could be a true hero or whatever, The only thing that's kind of bugs me a little bit about that is that, I guess in the books, I learned this online afterward or whatever, but apparently his ADHD and his dyslexia allows him to read ancient Greek and be a force in the battlefield and all that, which I don't think that could, actually help you in those particular circumstances. And up until this point, I don't think there's anything that's connecting that. So maybe they were like, okay, that's a little iffy there, Rick, creator of the Percy Jackson books. Maybe we sway away a little from that. Just have him have ADHD and dyslexia, but, also be a good hero. Also be a good hero, whatever. I like that aspect of it. I also, just so you know, I did read the chapter 1, as I previously mentioned. It starts out literally almost word for word the first couple paragraphs of the first page, which I gotta say, yeah, even I have to admit, I love the accuracy, man. I have to admit, as a guy who has never read the books completely, even I have to admit, I got a little goosebumps there. I gotta say, I like that aspect. Trust me when I say this, okay? There is a lot that happens in this first episode. Sets up a lot of stuff, and surprising enough, I think it does it fairly well. Pretty streamlined, but overall, I think it works. And although I do have some questions, but, it could have more transparency later on. And I do know that it does have more transparency later on, but this one particular episode, I remember I was first watching it and I was like, why can't any of the kids see the monsters, Why can only Percy see these monsters? What's the deal with that? But I did like the giant, weird flying woman and all that. I don't know what the name of these creatures are, but she was pretty cool, not gonna lie. Also, apparently, according to my research, they toned down the stepfather of Percy's and all that. And yeah, I didn't know going into it necessarily that the complete, story behind the whole Percy being Poseidon's son or whatever, but I found it pretty interesting looking back on it that, yeah, his mother is actually smiling and in the rain and all that, which I gotta say, whoa, okay. Little foreshadowing there. I like it. There. Oh, I see what you're doing here. You're actually storytelling and giving little subtle hints. I like it. Okay. And honestly, I like most of the characters. I think, Percy's mother is actually pretty well entwined and all that. She's a struggler, but she tries her best for her son and all that, especially with who her father is, which we will come to find out. And apparently his father is, part of the Greek god pantheon and all that, and we find that out. Why he's so special is because he's part of the gods and all that, the Greek gods. And then Grover's apparently half human, half goat. I forget what the creatures are called, but yeah, Grover, his best friend who rats him out to the principal to get him expelled. He shows up and apparently he's half goats. So that's kind of funny. And I knew that from the first movie or whatever that, there was a half man, half goat thing, but yeah, I gotta admit, it's pretty good here. It's pretty decent here. Unfortunately, though, I don't see a whole lot of his legs in, a lot of his stuff. I guess they had to cut corners with the budget somehow, but, I would have liked to see more of his legs. Not that I'm, whatever like that, but I just like to see more of his goatness. I'm sorry. I like weird things, okay? I'm sorry. But yeah, the mom's like, yeah, it's time for me to tell you where you come from and all that. And come to find out, he is part of the gods. She won't tell him who his father is, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. There's a Minotaur that's coming after him. They gotta run, and they gotta fight the Minotaur, and then the Minotaur, I guess, dusts the mother and all that at the end. And of course, it's in the very, very dark. I can barely see the fights. I'm sure it looks amazing if we could brighten the picture a little bit. But, maybe it's time to hide the lackluster CGI, even though it looks good in the dark. But just brighten it up. I want to see, Come on, can I see? Can I see what's happening on screen, please? But anyway, there's that and all, whatever. Percy, destroys him with the pen, the pen that he got from his wheelchair teacher and all that, there's all that. Bada bing, bada boom, that's basically it. It's all set up, basically, but it's really good setup, I gotta say. Especially, after watching a few reviews and a couple of the trailers of the first couple of films that aren't really that great, this episode, I gotta say, I was expecting it to be sort of boring or kiddish, but it's actually pretty action-packed. It keeps on going, it keeps on going, it keeps on going and going and going. It goes on from one action piece to another, and I'm on board with this. I like it. Like I said before, I like the actors who portray the characters. I don't necessarily... I'm supposed to hate him, but I don't really like the dad and all that, he's kind of an ass. Apparently they toned him down a little bit. I'm repeating myself. I think they toned him down a little bit from the book and all that, but whatever. And also another thing is that apparently that there was this one little sequence where they show what Percy sees every time he tries to read, and it's like very faint, very hazy, flipping letters or whatever, showing he has dyslexia or whatever. That's not necessarily how dyslexia works, according to my girlfriend, who is dyslexic. But then again, that could be anybody's dyslexia. Anyone. I guess many people have different versions of dyslexia or something. So maybe that could happen. I don't know. But all I know is that it wasn't anything with her. That's not how she reads or whatever. So, there's that. I like the fact that, the whole car scene with the car crash and all that. I like the fact that we're in the car. We don't really see a whole lot of outside the car. And I know that's a cost-cutting benefit or whatever, but I saw the behind-the-scenes features, okay? I know they built a car. They built a car on a thing to have like 360 shots of it, okay? I know that it wasn't necessarily cost effective, okay? It'll probably be the same cost as that or whatever, but I like the fact that we're in the car, okay? And we're experiencing it from the character's point of view instead of being shown outward, It gives a lot more, gives a lot more horror to the overall, chase and story and all that. And I gotta say, certain things that happen in this episode that I really do enjoy. However, there is one big glaring thing that I really didn't like was the fact that it was so dark with the Minotaur. I could barely see what the heck was going on, But that's a problem with most Hollywood movies and TV shows these days. Is you gotta get darker in order to hide the bad CGI, and yeah, you hit it, but I couldn't see what's going on, but whatever. And overall, as a person who didn't really have a whole lot of, interest or hope going into this show, I actually gotta say, it's not that bad of a show, not that bad of an episode either, let me tell you, okay? There's trust me, I'm sure the film is far worse. But yeah, it's allowed to breathe. The series is allowed to breathe now. And it's not allowed, you don't have to shorten or cramp stuff, So there's that at least. And yeah, I like Grover. His actor is doing pretty well, He's not irritating like some things I've seen with Grover in the films and all that, so there's that. And otherwise, the scenery's really nice and all that. It's shot in Vancouver, so of course it's gonna look nice and all that. So yeah, all in all, not a bad first episode. And in fact, if I were to rate it, I'd probably give it a 9 because I've seen series with first episodes in the MCU, okay, that weren't as good as this episode with all of its setup and all that. And I gotta say, spot on, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Spot on indeed. But anyway, though, guys, that's all I gotta say on this episode. What'd you guys think? What are your thoughts on? Comment, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell. More vids coming your way, and hey, take care, guys.